Yo, guys, this is James Hype, and I am going to tell you right now my story of how I got started as a DJ. And I'm hoping that you can take something from it and figure out how you are going to break through as a DJ. When I was really young, I remember seeing DJs in the background of music videos, and I didn't really understand what they were doing, but I knew that they had headphones and they had some decks, and I kind of thought that they were making the music happen live. And I must have been about 12 years old. I was drawn to this guy at the back of the music video. And I remember thinking, I think I want to be a DJ. The first DJ gear I ever had was called a Newmark Battle Pack. You might have to Google what that is, but it's a pair of old turntables and a small 2-channel mixer. And I got it off eBay secondhand. That was the first DJ gear that I ever used to get started. And that was how I learned to mix. The first time I ever played for a crowd, I was 15 or 16 years old, and it was one of my friends' birthday parties. And the great thing with being 16 is all of your friends are 16 and they all have a big party. So I was like the only DJ in my school. So people just said, "Oh, James, do you want to DJ at the party?" And I was really bad. And I didn't have any music that people wanted to hear. I just rocked up and played my own music that I liked. When I was about 19 years old, I used to run under 18s club nights. I'd already been DJing for a while, and I'd even DJed in some cool clubs. But up until this point, I wasn't a very good DJ. When I was DJing at my own event, I found that I really understood what made a good DJ, because I really cared about the people having the best night ever, because it was my night. So within a couple of those under 18s club nights, I found that I got so much better as a DJ, and I was able to take that back to the adult clubs with me. And from then, I started to improve. A few years later, I found myself playing in all of the best clubs around Liverpool and other cities in the north of England. And it got to a point where I was playing 5 or 6 nights a week. And these were long nights. Some of them were 6 hours long. So I was doing so much DJing at this point. And they were all slightly different as well. I was playing in some hip hop and R&B clubs. I was playing in some places where they played house music. And I even did a couple of student nights where they play all crazy genres of music. I think through this period, I really learned the different genres of music, and I really learned to find ways to mix these things together. At some of these gigs, I would play from when the doors opened until when the doors closed. So I had to make sure that I programmed the night musically in a way that started softly, built up, and then slowly brought it back down again at the end. Now, this was something that I needed to really understand my music collection to do. And after doing this for a couple of years, I really knew the records that would be perfect early on and perfect at the end, and then building up the tension right in the middle. So back then I was actually DJing on Serato, which is kind of crazy because no one's ever seen a video of me DJing on Serato. But I used to rate my songs in the library, and I used to give them a color. So the ones with pink, they were like the 5-star records. And whenever you drop that, it's going to go off. I then had 3-star, and I colored that in blue. And the blue ones were like, yeah, people are going to move to it. It's not going to be the biggest tune of the night, but it's going to like move the dance floor a little bit. So at the start of the night, I would start by maybe playing some unknown songs, some slower songs, some old songs. And then I'd start to throw in the blue songs. And then as it got to the peak of the night, it would all be pink songs. When I was about 21 years old, BBC Radio 1 held a competition. Now, BBC Radio 1 was the biggest station in the UK at the time. And they held a competition called Superstar DJ Competition. And the winner would win a show on BBC Radio 1 and would get to play at their events in Ibiza, at Ushuaia, and at Cafe Mambo. And this was crazy to me. It was such a dream. I was living in the north of England at the time, and I was DJing every night in these good clubs in the local cities. I entered this competition by submitting a video of myself, and I got through to the finals in this competition, and I spent the week at BBC Radio 1 in London. And it was the craziest experience because it opened my eyes. And during that week, I met Calvin Harris, I met Nero, I met so many of these incredible radio presenters that I'd been listening to for years. And I only came second in the competition. And you may have heard of the guy who won it because he's called Danny Howard, and he still has a show on Radio 1. But in being a part of that competition, it opened my eyes to the possibilities that were out there in the world. And from that point onwards, my ambitions were bigger, and I knew that I wanted to get to London and I wanted to get to the big time. So whenever you see Tomorrowland hosting a contest just like this one, absolutely go for it, because you never know where it will get you or what it will inspire within you. So I returned to Liverpool after the competition, so inspired. And I decided I just wanted to put everything into my DJ career. And I started making edits of songs because they didn't sound exactly how I wanted them to sound. There was a song that I wanted to play in my DJ set, but I wanted the breakdown to be longer, or I wanted the build up to be more hyped. And I downloaded Ableton and I started making mashups, and I started adding little things to songs. So I would have my own edits of all the songs that I was playing in my DJ set. I wasn't really producing music at this stage, but I was starting to. I kept adding more and more elements to these tracks until eventually I was pretty much remixing the track. And from that point forward, I found music production and I found that I loved it. I was in an amazing position because I was DJing 6 nights a week and I had my daytimes completely free. So I would wake up in the morning, or probably the afternoon, sit at my desk for 8 hours making music, and then go straight back to the club and test out what I'd made. So I was able to get instant feedback from the sound system and from the crowd. And that's a very quick way to realize what you've made is probably terrible. So you keep going, you make changes. And I feel like for me, that was a fast track way to being able to make music that sounded good enough to be played in a club. I kept on making these remixes and they got better and better. There was a point where I was putting out a remix on SoundCloud for a free download once a week. And I held myself to it. And I was like, no, I have to do the remix. I have to do the remix, one a week. And through doing this, I made a name for myself, and lots of DJs were looking out for the new DJing remix. Now, there were a couple of remixes that I did that blew up really big. And I remember I was in Liverpool and someone sent me a video of David Guetta playing one of my remixes at a pool party in Las Vegas. And I was like, whoa. And there were 1 or 2 remixes that managed to reach the DJs all over the world, the biggest DJs in the world. At the time, I was putting these remixes on SoundCloud with a download gate that you had to follow and repost to download. And I was also putting them on some DJ record pools like DJ City. I made a remix of Drake, Hotline Bling, when the song first came out. And this was the biggest remix I'd ever done. Every DJ was playing it. It was good timing and good luck and a good enough remix. It wasn't my greatest work, but the fact that people already knew my name and the fact that I timed it so well meant that everybody downloaded it. The list of DJs playing this remix was huge. And within a couple of weeks, 2 people had sent me an email asking if I had a manager because they wanted to manage me. I spoke to these potential managers on email, and one of them really stood out. We hadn't signed any contracts or anything, but he presented me with loads of opportunities. He got me an official remix opportunity with a major record label. And he was really showing me why he was the man to manage me. A few months went by like this, and I eventually met him and I signed a management deal. And that man is still my manager today. I soon realized that I had to take a big chance to really seize this opportunity. I was still a resident DJ. I was still playing 5 nights a week around clubs in the UK, earning quite good money, having a good time. But I realized in this moment, I have the opportunity to now become an artist. I could see that the opportunity was there and there was only one way to take it. So I did the scariest thing ever. I quit all of my gigs and I moved to London. The first thing I did when I got to London was found a studio to rent. It's not really a studio. It's more like a basement room in a mixed use building. The rent on it's really cheap and I actually still have it to this day. The first night that I stayed in London, I slept on the floor of that studio because I still hadn't managed to find myself an apartment. The next few months were really scary because there were people trying to book me and the bookings were coming in, but there weren't that many of them. I had saved up some money and I had my credit cards, and that was my plan to survive this. So I just had to get to work. I was in the studio every day, making music, making videos, making mixes, posting it all online, social media. And the bookings started to come in. Everything paid off. About 1 year later, I signed my first record to a major label, and they gave me money in advance, and I felt like I'd made it. This was in 2016. The record came out and it was a hit, and it got number 6 in the chart in the UK, and it was also a hit in Germany as well. This completely skyrocketed my career. I went from headlining a really small local club to being booked on festival lineups, and not just in the UK, all around Europe. Now, at this point, I'd been DJing for about 10 years, so I was a pretty good DJ. I was getting to these festivals for the first time, having never played festivals before. And when people saw me play, they were amazed because they didn't expect me to be good. Playing the bigger shows provided a crazy opportunity for video content. I'd been DJing in the way that I DJ for quite a while, but nobody had really seen me do it. I was reaching a few people online with my videos, and people saw me in local clubs. But when I took this to the festival stage, so many more people were paying attention. And it didn't take long for videos of me DJing to go viral. And the first one that went viral, you've probably seen. It was One More Time Losing It from Ferdinandsfeld Festival in Germany. This was a transition that I'd been doing for a while. And for me, I thought it was cool, but I didn't think it was the best thing in the world. I uploaded a video of me doing it to YouTube and thought nothing of it. And a few weeks later, I checked the YouTube analytics and the video was going like this on the graph. I couldn't believe it. I posted the same clip on Instagram and it went viral on there as well. The popularity of that video is what led people to know me as a technical DJ. I saw the popularity of this video and I realized that the way that I DJ was making me different from a lot of other DJs. So I really leaned into this and started putting more effort into creating these DJ transitions and more effort into creating these videos that I'd post online. Over the next few years, I had more and more videos go viral. In the meantime, I was making more and more songs in my studio, and I carried on like this until 2020. And we all know what happened in 2020. The whole world shut down. I remember I was in my apartment and I was supposed to go and play in a ski resort in 2 days. And I just bought a really expensive jacket because I've never been skiing before, but I thought, I want to look like I know what I'm doing. And the jacket arrived and I tried it on and it was like the most expensive thing I'd ever bought. And my manager called me and he was like, yeah, that ski gig, it's not happening anymore. It's been cancelled. And he said something else. He was like, and you might want to look after your money because there's going to be a lot more gigs cancelled as well. And I was there wearing the jacket like, oh, I think I'm going to have to send this back. So for the next 18 months, I wasn't making any money from my live shows, which was terrifying because as a DJ, that's the main source of income. After just a few days of the lockdown and staying at home, I was desperate to DJ. And I didn't know when I was going to get to DJ again. So I had the idea to do a live stream on YouTube. And I know that everybody did a live stream on YouTube during the pandemic, but I truly was one of the first. Now, I set some decks up in my living room, and I didn't have a very big living room because apartments aren't very big in London. So I set 4 decks up in my living room, which takes up a lot of space, and put the camera in front of me. And I went live on YouTube. Now, at this point, I'd been making YouTube videos for a significant amount of time. And I thought maybe when I went live, there were maybe 100 people watching, 200 people watching. I went live on YouTube and there were 3,000 people watching the first time I ever went live. And it was incredible. It was the best experience. You're able to talk to everybody in the live chat and everybody can talk amongst themselves. And you get that instant reaction to the records that you play. And it felt like the craziest community. It was incredible. I loved it. I still love it. And from that day forward, I did a live stream twice a week, 2-hour live stream twice a week for the next almost 2 years. And through doing those live streams, I reached so many people and built a fan base that I have a personal connection with because we really had a conversation just like this through the camera. Through doing these live streams, I also became a much better DJ because I was just putting in the hours. I think I have the live streams to thank for the fan base that I have now. In 2019, I got in the studio with some really good friends and we made a record that you now know as Ferrari. Now, Ferrari wasn't released until 2022, but it was pretty much finished in 2019. Even before all of the lockdowns, there are videos of me playing Ferrari at a festival in the UK. So I was in a record deal with a major label, and when you're in a record deal with a major label, you make music and then send it to the label and they tell you what they think is good. And they didn't think that Ferrari was good enough to be released. So me and my manager were sat there thinking, what can we do? How can we make this better? And we tried everything. We tried recording rappers on Ferrari. I have so many different rappers that we recorded on Ferrari because we thought, maybe this is what it's missing. We tried changing the structure around. We tried everything because we knew it was a really special record, but the record label didn't think that it was good enough. So 3 years went by and it's 2022. And I'm very good friends with a very famous radio DJ in the UK. And he called my manager and he said, you need to hear this because somebody's copied your song Ferrari. I'd been playing Ferrari on my live streams. So people had heard it, but it wasn't officially out. I was playing it like an ID. So someone had copied my record Ferrari and they were planning to release it on a major label. This was a big deal. And my manager was furious because he knew some of the people involved. And so did I. So we had a plan. I went straight to the studio that night, finished the final master of Ferrari, and we submitted it straight to all of the websites to release it. And 3 days later, Ferrari was out. And if it wasn't for that radio DJ telling us, then the fake version would have come out first. As soon as Ferrari came out, the support that it got was incredible. And now it has 2.5 billion streams. And if it wasn't for the fake version, it may have never been released. So remember, if things don't always go the way that you think that they should, it's not always the worst thing. Ferrari came out because of a really bad situation. Now, when the world was in lockdown and there were no DJ gigs, I wasn't making any money and I was really scared. I was like, how am I going to pay the rent? I even had a guy who worked for me and I was still paying him. He was like the content guy. So I was really scared of how I was going to make enough money to survive because nobody knew how long it would go on for. So I was really thinking, how can I give value to this community that we have online and also get paid? And through that idea and those hard times is how StereoHype was born. So StereoHype is my record label and my clothing brand. And I'm actually wearing a t-shirt right now. When we started StereoHype, the record label, we were releasing records from friends and family, Rewire, my partner Tita Lau, and a couple of more names that are very good friends. I'm proud to say in the past year, we've had 7 StereoHype Beatport top 10s. We've had a record from Major Lazer, and we had our first Beatport #1 with my track Wild. So this is my story. I hope it inspires you to go and chase yours.